We're gonna get started.
Go, Michelle.
Awesome. Hey guys, my name is Michelle Howe, and on behalf of the WIC, welcome to the second Tuesday Toast of the semester. And as we start every single one, it takes amazing people to support amazing people to give yourself a round of applause. We just have one thing to tell you is that go ahead and mark your calendars for Sewanee monologues on February 17th at 7 p.m. You all need to be there because it's amazing. So, without further ado, this is Kathleen Kelso. She's a freshman here. She always has a smile on her face. You've probably seen her around campus. But we're going to sit back and relax and let her tell us her journey about restarting the Sewanee women's rugby team.
Hi, I'm Kathleen, and I need my notes, otherwise I'll go wildly off track, so just bear with me for a second. So, I'm supposed to talk about the women's rugby team, and Michelle said it also helps if I talk about myself for a while, but I'll know a lot of you, so sorry if this is like a boring recap of, hi, I'm Kathleen, but I'm not really going to wing it because that could end up not so good. I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and Michelle said I'm a freshman. So this past semester, when we all came and had the activities fair, I was really excited because I love trying new things, and so I had great plans for the activities fair. So I signed up for pretty much every single possible activity, and now I get a ton of emails and don't go to a lot of those things, but hopefully I'll do better next fall. But when I was walking around, I was caught, my attention was caught by the Purple Haze team's table. And my friend at Mary Washington plays on the women's rugby team there and has been telling me for a couple years how fun it is and it's so great and all the girls are awesome. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that, but good try. Like, sounds great for you, maybe not for me. But I was determined not to be, I don't know, like lukewarm about anything coming into college. It's like, it's a new opportunity. I'm going to do lots of new things and be brave and adventurous. So I started talking to the guys, and they were so excited and friendly. And of course, I ended up talking to Sam Dahlhauser, who's like a jumping Pino, friendly energy. And they all had that weird, like, egg-shaped football without the laces. And they were like, yeah, it's really fun, and we're cool, so come out. And I'm like, okay, I'm a girl. Is that allowed? And they're like, yeah, we'd love to teach you the game. Come out and learn. And so I, like, signed up on the email list, and I feel so proud of myself for having that conversation. And they're like, all right, practice at 5. See you. And I was like, oh shit, oh that's like today. So around like 4:30, I'm like getting myself hyped up, like, yeah, you can do this. All right, got my Nike shorts and tennis shoes, and I biked out to Stringer Field, which is behind Morgus. And I was at that bike shed where, I mean, from the field, you really can't see if anyone's there because there's a weird shadow and usually an unreasonable amount of bikes. So I probably stood there for like 5 minutes thinking, I could really leave now. I should just leave. I shouldn't go because it's really scary. I don't see any girls out there. I should probably go. No one will ever know. They'll just think I didn't want to play, and that's cool. And then after a while of wallowing in self-consciousness, I was like, this is not a no girls allowed club, all right? I can do this. This is cool. Girls are as good as boys. Fuck this, I'm going on. So I like awkwardly walk onto the field, like trying to look confident and probably failing a little bit, and join the unfortunately awkward pod of freshmen who are hoping for some direction. So we all kind of stand there, not really talking. No one picks up a ball because they don't know what to do with it. And eventually they get a name game started, and all the upperclassmen are really friendly. I'm like, awesome, we're so glad you're here. Say your name, where you're from, any past rugby experience, and your penis size. And I was like, okay. So I learned a whole lot about all this. I was a little more than I originally had said at that time, but I just calmly explained I don't have a penis. No one seemed to take issue with that. So we're off to a good start, and the season started, and it was so much fun. And they practiced Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I remember the first couple weeks, I was like, I want to be out there every day, 7 days a week. Why don't we have practice 3 days a week? And I would just wait for Tuesdays and love Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then as soon as the weekend started, I'd be like, well, man, no rugby, this sucks. And then we started contact, and I realized why you need that time off, because you need time for your bruises to fade so you can hit people again the next week. But I remember our first tackling practice, they want to start off really slow so that you don't hurt anyone or yourself and that you can be an effective player. And so it's very gentle. There's just someone on their knees and you just jog towards them and they wrap their arms around you and you kind of fall to the side. And it kind of works in a little chain so that you tackle the same person each time and the same person tackles you. I remember the guy who was tackling me was obviously so conflicted because I don't think anyone's ever been tackled with more gentle ease. It's like he was trying to like cradle me to the ground. And I felt kind of awkward and I felt bad for him at first, but then I didn't really feel bad for him because what's the thought process there? Like if I fall too hard, I might break in half. But I don't really understand that. But you know, whatever. The season started. It was really, really fun. And eventually we broke into packs and backs, which are the two categories of players on a team. There's 15 players on a team. 8 are pack players, which are forwards. And their job primarily is to maintain possession or to get possession of the ball, like using contact, using tackling, and that kind of thing. So they're typically, like, at least on men's teams, bigger, more powerful with contact, all that kind of stuff. And then the other set of players are the backs, and they're usually smaller and faster, and they are the ones who move the ball up and down the field. But theoretically, everyone should possess the same skills. Everyone should be able to tackle, and everyone should be able to pass, and that kind of thing. But when you break into those two groups, you specialize, and you get to focus on either tackling or on plays with the ball and all different kinds of loops and stuff. And so it's a defining moment in what kind of player you're going to be, and figure out which side you're going to train with. And so I was put with the backs, which I didn't know any better. I was like, okay, cool, I'll go with them. Which is not an unreasonable categorization. I'm not like a super big, muscular person, so it didn't make sense for me to immediately go with the pack players. But when we started scrimmaging, I was always on the wings. And so when you look at like a map of the field with the players on it, typically the back line of players starts in the middle of the field and extends out in a diagonal line towards the side. And the last player in the line is the winger. And there's another guy who's on the other side of the field, also a winger, just in case the ball comes to that area of the field. And so because they're on the outsides, they're furthest from all the action. So they're out of the contact a little more than everybody else. And there are some people who really are great wingers, who belong in that place. I was so bored in that place. It was just not the right place for me. I would be on the outside trying not to run into the mess of people. Because if you do that, it makes a really big problem for everyone else and you get yelled at. And it's not so good. So I was kind of bored on the outside and thinking, okay, well maybe I can like worm my way to be like inside center, somewhere closer to the action. Because they can still pass the ball, but they also get in a lot of the contact, and that's really fun. So after a while, we started doing these really cool drills, and they were drills where basically everyone had to be a pack player. So you do this sequence of like a maul, which is like a standing wrestling match of sorts. Not really, but that's why I can describe it without spending a whole lot of time talking about the specifics of that. And then you go into like a tackle, and then someone picks up the ball and goes to another tackle, and there's a ruck, which is another really cool part of rugby. And it was so fun, and I had the best time that day, so I was like, you know what, I cannot play on the outsides anymore. I want to be on the inside with all those really big dudes. So I had lunch with Caleb, who's the captain of the men's team. He's not here right now, so we can't protest when I say how great he is. He always deflects compliments. I don't know why. But he is an awesome person. So if you don't know Caleb already, he's a great role model, not only as an athlete, but just as a human being. He's a cool guy. So I encourage you all to get to know him before he graduates. But we had lunch, and I was like, look, I really want to hit people and then have them hit me because I like that part of rugby the best. He was like, oh, okay, sure, do it. So I started doing that, and that was an interesting change. Because, well, for one thing, when your job is different, you have to think differently about how you play. So I got in the way all over the place. And people would be yelling at me. I was all, in between two people that are trying to pass the ball and woefully unaware of how to play my role on the team. But I also learned that I was the weakest person at least in the pack. Because in the pack, you're all pushing together because you're all the people that participate in the scrum, which is the kind of like big interwoven group of guys. And I mean, if you've ever seen a rugby game, you've seen the like massive people, and it's 8 on 8. And you all bind together with your arms wrapped around each other and push to try to gain possession of the ball that's underneath the whole thing. And I realized I was way or much less effective than the other guys because I just am not built with extensive like upper body muscle. That's just not how girls are built. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't want to be the weakest link because I don't want to be the person who brings down the effectiveness of the group. So I had to start doing things differently. I had to stop eating junk food and desserts and like sweets and everything. And I had to start drinking protein shakes. And I went to the gym every day and did 2-a-days twice a week and worked really hard to try to compensate for areas of strength that I just didn't have to start off with. And it was a very interesting experience. Obviously, beer does not go under that category of things that I abstain from. I do love beer. But, I mean, aside from that, being a tag player was really fun, and it was really hard, and I got my shit rocked hard a lot. There were lots of practices where I'd leave and be like, oh, that was a learning experience. Okay. And have to kind of go ice for a long time afterwards. But it was a really good experience, and I'm really grateful for it. And a lot of people have asked me previously, I mean, I still get this question now. It's like, do the guys actually like hit you? And I mean, it's not like I'm super surprised with the question because it's not unreasonable given how we think about girls and guys in sports. But yeah, I mean, I hope they don't hold back. I hope they hit me like they would hit anyone else because it's not going to help me otherwise. Like, I'm not going to learn how to handle the situations if I'm given like a softened, lesser version of it. So it's definitely something that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that for the bruises and the unfortunate like breathing patterns afterwards after a hit. But through all of this, we started doing friendlies, which are matches that don't hold any league significance. The Purple Haze plays in the Dixie Conference, the Dixie League. And so these matches happen before their season starts. And they're just something the captains arrange, and it's just fun and a good way to learn everything. And our first match was with Western Kentucky University. And it was really great. I like brought my boots, I had everything ready, on mouth guard, I was so pumped. We all warm up and have our like get hype music going. And so I was like ready to go and tear some shit up. And Caleb had said, you know, I don't know if you'll be able to play, you have to talk to the other team and see, you know, how they feel about it, just to be respectful of them. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. And so they did, and the other team said they weren't comfortable with it because they thought the risk of injury was too high, which sounds like a load of bullshit to me because my bones have the same amount of calcium as yours. Like, I don't understand, like, how I'm less or more breakable than another guy. There are guys on Purple Haze who are the same size as me, and maybe we don't play the same role on the team, but, I mean, we're the same size. We're just as breakable. So, I mean, it was like, whatever. I'm cool. I'll just sit out this game. It'll be fine. I'll play another game sometime. And that was a great game because it was the first game for all the noobs, and it was so funny to watch them run around like chickens with their heads cut off. It was a shit show, but it was supposed to be that way because it's our first rugby game. That's how all of them are. It's a lot of chaos for sure. But when we left, a lot of the guys were like, you know, Kathleen, like, they should let you play. That wasn't cool. It wasn't cool of them to say that, you know, you didn't deserve to play because you work hard and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, thanks, guys. That means a lot. And they said, well, next time, we're not going to let them get away with that because next time you're going to play. You deserve that. And so I was like, well, that means a lot. I really appreciate that. And so we continued playing friendlies, but I continued not being able to play. And I would always come ready and come with my boots and my bag and, like, ready to fuck people up and get excited for rugby. And each time they'd be like, they're not comfortable. You can't play. And it kind of got to a point where nobody would talk about it anymore except for me. And there wasn't anyone saying it doesn't matter. That was just, I think people were saying, oh, it's just a rule. Like, she can't play, we shouldn't bring it up. Like, we shouldn't, I guess, badger the other team about it because we don't want to make them feel like they shouldn't play with us in the future. Which I guess is a valid concern. but it seemed less valid to me as the one who couldn't play. Because I would bring all my stuff and get so excited and then be really disappointed when I couldn't. And it ended up hurting my pride a lot as an athlete and as a person or a woman or something, thinking that my effort, which I know was more than some of my opponents' efforts, maybe more than some of my teammates' efforts, I knew it was so substantial but still ineffective in getting me any playing time. So after being pissed and frustrated for a while and not knowing what to do with those feelings, I decided to figure out what I should do about it, because I don't think I would have been content to practice really hard like my teammates and never play, especially because in rugby you can only learn so much with drills because it's very much a game that just brings about new situations and it's a game of reactions. So in drills, when everything is very put together and pre-planned, it's only so realistic. And so everyone said, you should start the women's rugby team. You should restart that. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's a great idea for the future. I will do that another time. That's great. Because I was thinking, my rugby childhood was at Purple Haze, was the men's team. And so I learned my sport from incredible experienced players. People with a lot of knowledge. Caleb, Jack, Sebastian, Elliot, Zach, all of these guys have a ton of experience. And so I'm thinking, I have to be them before I could even think about trying to teach someone else this sport that I love. And so I kept people would suggest and be like, yeah, I'll do it next year. Yeah, great idea. And eventually Caleb was like, you really should just do it now, because I promise if you do it, things will just come together and it'll work out. And so eventually I felt like I had to, because everyone kept suggesting it, so I was like, fine, I'll do it. I'll try to figure this out. And then somebody texted, or someone had talked to Aaron, who's sitting up here at the front. That's an unfortunate one, I'm sorry. But someone had talked to Erin Smolstis, who lives in Smith, and she's right here. And she had mentioned that she played rugby in high school, and they were like, you should talk to Kathleen. So she texted me and was like, hey, I like rugby, you like rugby, let's hang out. And I was like, yeah. So we went on this blind date, I didn't know who I was looking for, I just knew I was meeting her at Sterling's. And it was great. It was the most enthusiastic conversation I've ever had. We were both like, rugby, yes, another girl who likes this sport, this is awesome. And so we decided we were gonna start it up and we were gonna get things rolling. So we had flyers and emails sent out, we had an interest meeting where a bunch of people came out and showed interest in a random sport that most people think is for foreign guys. And so it was a successful meeting, and we started practices, and we started things slowly, and it was awesome. Our first and second practices, we had 28 girls out at a time. It was so many people, it was awesome. I was like, this is great, people care, this is awesome, they actually want to play this sport. And so I remember one of the practices, one of our practices in the second week, I was like, okay, we'll come out next week. It's going to be great. We're starting contact, and it's going to be so fun. This part of the game is really great and really fun, that I promise will make you feel like an awesome person. So come out. And the next week, our numbers dropped significantly. People didn't even come out to try the contact. They just heard about it and were like, oh, no, I can't do it. That's too scary, and that's too hard, and not something I want to get into. And that part really bums me out. Of course, I want as many girls out as possible. But I want everyone to feel like they can do that, I think that's the intimidation factor about the game, is hitting someone else. But it doesn't feel like getting punched in the face. It's like a hug with power that hits the ground. It's not, you don't have to wrap your arms around someone. You can just hit them because you're both wearing so much padding. But in rugby, it's different, and I don't think it's fair to yourself to not give it a chance. Because it's not, there's a weird stereotype to play rugby. You have to be big, scary, lesbian, and foreign. And none of those things are true. I don't understand that stereotype at all. But it's something where, contact is not about being macho or anything, or not about hurting other people. It's about making your decision and then doing it, like making it happen. Seeing someone running towards you and saying, I have to stop them right here because that's my ball, this is my game, and then actually stopping them right there. And it's an empowering thing. It's something that makes you feel good about yourself, and it's great to know that like someone was running at you and you were equal in power, and then you were more in power than them, which is a really, really cool feeling. And I don't know why we seem to think in our community that only boys can hit things. Like football, boxing, boys lacrosse are all like heavy contact sports. And girls, I don't understand why they let girls hit each other in lacrosse. That really makes no sense to me. But, you know, it's not like girls will break if you hit them or hit each other. I don't understand that. And I think everyone deserves a chance to try and not feel like they can't do it. I know a lot of girls were really supportive when their friends started playing rugby and said, I'm really glad you're doing that. That's great for you. As if it wasn't good for me. They're like, oh, I can't do that. And, you know, it's one thing if you say, I don't like contact sports, you know, I'm a golf person. That is fine. That's good. But, you know, if you don't try it and you just think you can't, then that's a disservice to yourself. And I hope that a lot of girls will hear that and kind of just, even if they never come out for it, just realize to themselves that you can. It's not ever something you can't do. Like, we're doing a lot of contact practices right now with the team, and they're frustrating. I remember my first like heavy contact practices. I felt like a noodle that was just getting like slapped around, which is pretty accurate from what I was doing. But it's something you have to like learn, and there's a period of intense frustration that goes with that. But you know, you get through that period, and it's really fun. It's a really cool thing. So I really hope that a lot of people will hear that and just kind of realize you can do those things. You can do things that you don't think are within your reach, and just, you know, try a little bit. So Erin and I are the co-captains, and we have a lovely board of team leaders. We have equipment managers and party captains, and party captains are crucial. And we have treasurers and publicity. And everyone has really like made the team their own. Like, I mean, it's definitely something where we brought a whole bunch of girls together that I don't know would ever have been together before. Which has been a really valuable experience. I mean, it's a great thing to see people who had no idea who each other was before we started playing be really good friends and come out each week and give 100% and, you know, not wear shoes, apparently. Marianne doesn't like to wear shoes. But come out like, just be like, hey, we're all friends, we're all giving 100% and try to play this game as best we can. And it's been a really, really cool thing. So we have a match in April and another match pending also in April, which will be really exciting. And I can almost guarantee we're going to get our asses kicked like real hard because we're brand new, and that's what's supposed to happen. We're playing a well-established team. If they didn't kick our asses, we have something to worry about. So that's exciting. We practice on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 5. It's cold, and that's not as fun as when it's not cold, but it's still a valuable experience. And I really think that all of these girls that come out to play are some of the coolest girls that I've ever met. So if you don't know any of them, I encourage you to get to know them because you won't regret any of that. I think that might be what I've got.
Awesome.